Well, this is Jeff Blackie, 2020, January. Today we're going to talk about a little bit something different that someone posted on my personal message on YouTube. Talking about, well, he was basically talking about my awards for my medals and ribbons and stuff that I got through the military during my long 21 years in the National Guard. And after exchanging a couple of messages back and forth, he's trying to tell me what a war veteran is, what a combat veteran is, why people without badges for combat are not considered combat veterans, blah, blah, blah. And obviously he's a young man and he claims he has a combat action badge. So I kind of didn't really want to do a video on this, but looks like I'm going to have to do one, especially for him. This is from, the question and the message was from a guy named Livewire99. Livewire99. So maybe I can try to throw my 2 cents about what is considered war veterans compared to combat veterans. Well, first of all, personally, I don't think having a combat action badge or a CIB, it qualifies you to be a war veteran, combat veteran, I guess, whatever you call it. But now the term has been loosely used, mostly by things such as Army Times, VFW Magazine, American Legion, that a combat veteran is somebody who's deployed to a war zone and they would get some sort of campaign medal. Nowadays, the War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, the Expeditionary Medal itself, Armed Forces Expeditionary, the Afghanistan Campaign Medal, and then they got the apparently Operation Inherent Resolve or something like that. The stuff that's going on in ISIS. And somebody says, well, that qualifies you, and for the Army, you get to wear a combat patch. And okay. Well, the term is also kind of gets muddled. Because if you get deployed to, let's say, like Turkey, this is the regular Army now or whatever, get deployed to Turkey for 4 months. They give you a combat patch and an expeditionary medal for that. Is it a war zone? Don't know. Some people say it is a war zone. Some say it isn't a war zone. You get an expeditionary medal. So I've heard all sorts of versions of this. I know a couple of guys that went to Haiti in the 90s. Or whatever mission they were over there in the 82nd Airborne, and they got expeditionary, Armed Forces Expeditionary medals, but they didn't get combat patches. So again, it's muddled. You can't call anybody who's not a combat veteran or a war veteran or whatever. If you go back to the American-Spanish War, 1890s, they don't got any badges telling you you're a war veteran, combat veteran or not. They just, went over there and did their thing. They got a campaign medal. Same thing with the First World War, the Philippine insurrection. A lot of these guys got campaign medals that qualifies them as war veterans or combat veterans. They, again, did not have CIBs, combat action badges, medic badges with the little leaf around it. And, we're talking about World War I. World War II, finally when the CIB actually came out, that they're awarding it to the Army guys. So, again, and then the medic badges came out, the combat medic badges. But at the same time that only the infantry guys and the medics got badges, what about the tankers? What about the AA gun crews that are firing at low-flying aircraft or using their machine guns for infantry support? What about them? What about the camo guys carrying the radios? They didn't get any badges. The AA guys didn't get it. The tankers didn't get any badges. The cavalry guys didn't get badges. Would you call them, would you say, oh, well, since they don't have a badge, they're not combat veterans? Ha, ha, ha. Again, apples, oranges, you're comparing. Same thing that went on in the Vietnam War. Only the medics and only the infantry had badges. I know plenty of Marines that did combat. They get a combat action ribbon. I know plenty of guys in the Army that served, that fired their weapons. A bunch of truckers that's driving up and down the Ho Chi Minh Trail or whatever in their convoy vehicles. They get ambushed all the time. Medals of Honor went out to those guys. They didn't get CIBs. They came back with combat patches, overseas stripes, the Vietnam Campaign Medal, but they did not have CIBs or whatever. You're going to tell them they're not combat veterans? Please don't. But again, there is the argument. And then when Grenada came down, all the 82nd Airborne guys and the Rangers got CIBs. Some medics got combat medic badges. Unfortunately, some of the MPs are over there. They didn't get nothing. The helicopter gun crews did not get anything. They just had their regular wings. They didn't get any combat action badges or CIBs, and those guys got shot at. Again, you're comparing. Same thing with Panama. And I know some guy in Desert Storm, when I went to PLDC, he had a 101st Airborne Combat Patch, CIB. I asked him, oh, wow, you see anything? He goes, no, I was 30 miles behind the lines guarding a fuel dump. I went, well, how'd you get the CIB? He says they blanketed the award. Everybody in the that was 11 Bravo, who is not out there banging and slinging, everybody got CIBs. 20, 30 miles behind the lines, he still got a CIB. Because, remember, in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, you don't even have to fire your weapon if you're infantry. All you got to do is be in country for about 4 to 5 months. You automatically get a CIB. Automatically get it. This guy, the ground war only lasted, 3 hours? 3 days? He was in country for 4 months is what he told me. CIB. Automatically given. So it became muddled again. Then you got the guys in Somalia. They just gave CIBs to those guys. I know plenty of 10th Mountain guys who never even fired a shot. They were only over there for 3 months. CIBs. So when the war on terrorism came down, Iraq, Afghanistan, when they invented the combat action badge, then again, it became muddled. It became, okay, you'll get one for being blown up. Like our battalion. Our battalion, a lot of guys did not get combat action badges or CIBs if they were engaged by the enemy. For some weird muddled reason, because of its National Guard, they put the criteria as you have to get blown up or the vehicle damaged from an attack in order to even be considered to get a CIB or a combat action badge. So myself, I came under fire a couple of times from mortars and ambushes. I returned fire, but unfortunately, with my big mouth, I actually had enemies back at HAC, which I was attached to, and I got, I did convoy missions with Alpha Company, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. I went on all sorts of convoy missions from Kuwait into Iraq, all over Iraq. I was all over Iraq. Seeing IEDs go off, V-beds, ambushes. But unfortunately for me, I pretty much spoke up how I felt when something was fucked up. They didn't like it, so whenever my name would come up, Jeff, Sergeant, oh, really? He wants to put in for a combat action badge. I had to put in for a combat action badge because they slotted me as a 63 Bravo instead of 11 Bravo to get me over there. So guess what happened? Round file. Even though we had all these witnesses, round file. I got attacked while inside a PLS, sitting just right there at the gate trying to get inside at Camp Cedar. 2 o'clock in the morning, we got mortared on right there at the gate. The closest explosion I had was roughly about 80 to 90 feet to the right of me. You can just see the sparks. And just boom. The KBR was over the loudspeaker saying, everybody to the damn bunkers. Everybody to the bunkers. Had witnesses. The whole shebang. The 03 that was there, who was a part of our company, I don't know which company he was in, he says, oh, well, guess what, bro? Denied. I said, sir, how can it be denied when we have witnesses? Even the Massachusetts National Guard even told us the following day while we were in Camp Cedar. Controlled debt. Who the fuck is going to do 3 controlled debts on the roadway right next to us? 2 o'clock in the morning. Really? With vehicles there and people? Denied. Well, it's because I made a lot of enemies. So I know what I done. Does it make me a combat veteran or a war veteran? Again. So basically that is up to you. You know, some of you guys are very proud of your CIBs and combat action badges. I know a bunch of my guys, a whole company of my guys went with the 184 and they went to Baghdad for 5 months. All they did is prisoner exchange, and they blanketed the entire war to combat action badges to all those guys, including guys that stayed in the buildings. You had one guy that stayed in the armory, never went outside, combat action badge. So, coming on to 12 minutes, this is the explanation of what between a war veteran and a combat veteran is. As far as I'm concerned, we're all war veterans. We're all combat veterans, with or without badges. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and whatever you might think. So,